Hello and welcome back. I'm Nick and I help run Camp Zufari at the Houston Zoo. We're excited to bring the zoo to you with Camp Zufari TV. This week, we're going to learn about the amazing animals that make their home right here in the Lone Star State. Many of our University of Houston fans may know that the cougar mascot, Shasta, lives here at the Houston Zoo. We'll visit Shasta and learn where we can find cougars in the wild, as well as how they're perfectly adapted to survive in their environment. We'll also learn how two of our feathered friends, the Atwater's prairie chicken and the whooping crane, were both on the brink of extinction until conservation groups came together to help save their populations in the wild. And let's not forget our local reptile friends. We'll visit 3 American alligators that live right here in the Catherine G. McGovern Texas Wetlands exhibit, as well as the Gulf of Mexico, where you can find 5 of the 7 species of sea turtles. Along the way, we'll learn some tips and tricks to help keep their ocean homes clean. There's so much to learn, let's start exploring.
Also called a mountain lion or a puma, cougars can be found as far north as Nova Scotia, down to Patagonia and South Chile. While they were once found all over the Lone Star State, cougars are now mostly found in the southwestern region with a few smaller groups around Texas. Cougars may look like a large cat in size, but they are not in the class called Panthera, which means they're classified as a small cat instead of a large cat. Large cats like lions and tigers can roar, but cougars lack the ability to roar and purr instead. While they're named the cat of one color, cougars begin life with numerous dark spots on their fur and rings around their tail. These markings provide a protective camouflage to keep the cub less visible while it's young and vulnerable to predators. As they age, they lose all these colorations and take on the color you see in adult cougars like Haley and Shasta at the Houston Zoo. Haley was orphaned as a cub and was found by the side of the road in Idaho. She was too young to hunt for herself and was taken in by Fish and Wildlife before she came here to Houston. Her name comes from the name of a county in Idaho. Haley is the smaller and more slender of the 2 cougars at the Houston Zoo. Shasta was one of 3 male cubs who were out with their mother one day when she was illegally shot by a hunter. A friend of the hunter notified officials and the first 2 cubs were quickly found, but it took several days before they could locate Shasta. Searchers were successful when one of them chirped like a mother cougar and he chirped back. The Houston Zoo partners with the University of Houston, and Shasta is their official mascot, Shasta 6. Cougars used to be housed on campus and taken to football games on a leash, but Shasta now makes appearances via webcams. Alumni can also have their class rings guarded overnight by Shasta. The rings are brought into the habitat in a large U of H box, and Shasta will guard them overnight. The school officials will then remove the box the following morning so the rings can be distributed to the graduating seniors. Welcome back. Let's check your animal knowledge. more quizzes to come. Here's a bird you may not have heard of before, the Atwater's prairie chicken. Though they have chicken in their name and look like chickens, they aren't chickens. Atwater's prairie chickens belong to a group of birds known as grouses, which means that they are roughly chicken-sized birds with some special traits. Grouses have feathered nostrils and legs covered in feathers too. This Texas native once thrived on the coastal prairies of Texas and Louisiana, including what is today the city of Houston, but is now critically endangered in the wild. The Atwater's prairie chicken is best known for its booming display. The males will puff up their brightly colored air sacs on their throat and make a booming sound to attract hens. This happens during the breeding season in late winter and early spring. The male will also do a dance, stomping his feet while he booms. Sadly, the combination of vanishing habitat predation and the introduction of other species has made life difficult for the remaining wild population. There are 3 protected sites: the Atwater's Prairie Chicken National Wildlife Refuge, the Texas City Prairie Preserve, and private land near Goliad, Texas. Right now, with these sites, the wild population numbers are less than 100 birds. But there are a lot of good people helping to increase this number. The Houston Zoo is the coordinator of the Captive Breeding Program, also called the Species Survival Plan, or SSP. This means that the Houston Zoo is responsible for leading and tracking participation in the Atwater's Prairie Chicken National Recovery Plan, overseen by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Each summer, a number of birds that are hatched and raised by several Texas zoos and wildlife centers are reintroduced to nature in hopes of adding to the wild flocks and growing the natural population. While this has been a very difficult task, steps have been made each year as we learn more about this unique species. As a part of the conservation efforts, the Houston Zoo also conducts ongoing educational programs focused on knowledge of the Gulf Coast prairie and marsh ecoregions. These efforts help raise awareness of the importance of these habitats and allows the zoo to share information on this special Texas species. Let's check your animal knowledge. Our alligators are named after a popular breakfast cereal. Their names are Snap, Crackle, and Pop. Alligators are carnivores, or meat eaters, with sharp teeth for biting down on their food. Their teeth do not help them chew, though. Instead, alligators will tear big pieces of meat off their food and then swallow it whole. To catch their food, alligators will float in the water and pretend to be a log or a rock. When their food gets too close, they will lunge out of the water and grab their prey. In the water and out, alligators can be faster than people, though on land they can only keep up that speed for short distances. Now let's look at how alligators care for their young. Mom alligators make great parents. When they lay eggs, the mom alligator will build a big nest out of mud, sticks, and leaves. She will lay her eggs in the nest and then cover them with more mud to keep them warm. Then she will stay near the nest to keep danger away. No one wants to mess with a mommy alligator. Once the eggs hatch, the mom will stay near her little hatchlings, protecting them until they're a little bit bigger and able to take care of themselves on their own. If the babies feel threatened, they'll chirp. This chirp alerts mom, who either attacks the threat or sometimes swims up to the babies and opens her mouth. All the babies will then swim inside her mouth for safety. No other animal wants to get anywhere close to those teeth, so it's the perfect spot to stay safe. The alligator is one of the earliest endangered species success stories. The population of alligators reached an all-time low in the 1950s. Through actions taken by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and different state organizations, laws were put into place to protect alligators. As a result, their numbers have rebounded, and they were removed from the endangered species list in 1987. With the increase of alligators, other animal species have increased as well. At Armand Bayou, just outside of Houston, an increase to alligators has increased the number of nesting birds as well. But how does increasing the number of predators increase the numbers of other species? At Armand Bayou, it was noticed that nesting birds would build nests in trees above the alligator nests. The protection provided by alligator moms meant that animals like raccoons and opossums, who would steal and eat bird eggs, stayed away, allowing the eggs to hatch and the babies to grow up in a safer environment. Time for another quiz.
We're ready.
We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. Are you?
One way that you can help animals right here in Texas is through citizen science. Citizen science is a way that you and I can help field researchers and scientists by participating in different activities. A BioBlitz is a great example. In a BioBlitz, you can use an app like Picture This, iNaturalist, or the Cornell Ornithology Bird Lab to identify as many plants and animals in your area as possible. The scientists then use the information you provide to help influence their research and even help lawmakers pass laws to protect animals in our spaces. If you try it at home, be sure to capture some photos and tag us on social media.
Just like our alligators, whooping cranes are another conservation success story. Here at the zoo, we have Hayden and Angel. Whooping cranes will find a partner and mate for life in the wild. Our pair, Hayden and Angel, are now retired from the breeding program as they both have had successful reared chicks and are now living the life of leisure at the zoo. This is part of the reason they have come to the Houston Zoo, so they can act as ambassadors for their species in the wild. And in keeping with the saying, everything is bigger in Texas, the whooping crane is the largest bird in North America. Both Hayden and Angel are fairly calm birds, but generally prefer to have their space when the zookeepers are inside their habitat cleaning. Hayden is the bold one of the two, but he's not aggressive towards anyone. Angel is a little bit more timid or shy, but she seems comfortable as long as Hayden is there to protect her. They both get really excited when they get their crickets and will occasionally do some quick flashes of dancing. Dancing is how whooping cranes keep their bond strong and will often be seen performing together. Hayden and Angel will also spend a good portion of their time on the sandy beach in their enclosure. They love to catch any frogs that are not paying attention. Whooping cranes are migratory birds. This means that they don't spend their entire lives in Texas, but instead come to visit every winter. The largest population in the wild spends their summers in Canada before flying down to Aransas Pass National Wildlife Refuge. That's right outside of Houston. In the fall, these birds will begin their journey with their hatchlings, heading for the coast for warmer weather and a feast. Throughout the winter, both mom and dad will teach their hatchlings how to catch some of their favorite foods, like blue crabs. Both in Canada and in Texas, their habitat contains large open areas close to water and vegetation. These areas provide easy access to food, as well as wide open spaces for the adults to keep an eye out for predators. As far back as 70 years ago, these birds were almost extinct in the wild, with only 21 birds making their yearly migration. Since that time, people have helped to protect their habitat, and there are now more than 500 birds living in the wild, with more still, like Hayden and Angel, living in zoos and helping to share information about this amazing species. Welcome back. Let's check your animal knowledge. Keep watching for more quizzes. Texas, and by extension the Gulf of Mexico, is home to 5 different species of sea turtle: Kemp's Ridley, green, leatherback, Atlantic hawksbill, and loggerhead. Unlike other turtles, sea turtles cannot pull their heads or limbs inside of their shells. Sea turtles, even though they breathe air like we do, spend most of their lives in the water. They'll swim throughout the sea, returning to land only to lay their eggs. Unlike an alligator mother who guards her nest, sea turtles will dig big pits in the sand and lay their eggs. After the eggs are laid, the mother will return to sea, leaving the sun to warm the eggs. When the babies hatch, they are on their own as they make their way to the water. Once they've made it to the water, it's time for the sea turtles to start looking for food. They will eat a variety of things, but many sea turtles love to munch on jellyfish. They also act as lawnmowers of the oceans, with green sea turtles eating lots of seagrasses, keeping them from growing out of control. Sea turtles can live for about 100 years. As a group, sea turtles have been around since the time of the dinosaurs, meaning that there were sea turtles swimming in the oceans while T-Rex roamed the land. Nearly all sea turtle species are either threatened or endangered. But thanks to the teamwork from federal protections, scientists, local organizations, and many dedicated individuals, sea turtle populations are slowly recovering. The Houston Zoo's veterinary team plays a huge role in saving wild sea turtles, treating and providing care for up to 100 injured or sick sea turtles each year. Rehabbing sea turtles so that they are healthy enough to return to the wild is no easy feat. Just as restoring their health is important, it's equally important that the environment the sea turtles return to is clean and free of debris that could threaten their ability to thrive. In an effort to ensure their safety, the Houston Zoo Sea Lion team has committed to leading a monthly cleanup where zoo staff help a local jetty to stay clean. Also, the Houston Zoo is single-use plastic straw, bag, and bottle-free, preventing 400,000 pieces of single-use plastics from entering bayous, lakes, and oceans each year. You can help keep sea turtles' ocean homes clean too. Instead of a single-use plastic water bottle and plastic bag, switch to reusable water bottles and bags. You can even make your own reusable bag out of an old t-shirt, just like Mr. Nick showed us how to make on episode 3.
Who knew Texas was home to so many amazing animals? I hope you learned something today about these friends that we're proud to call Texans. Before you go, I have one more friend I want to introduce you to. He's another native, and this is my friend Tex. Tex is a Texas tortoise, and of the 4 species of tortoises that live in the United States, Tex is the only one you'll find here in Texas. Tex is also known as a gopher tortoise because he loves to make his home in burrows or tunnels. Instead of making a big tunnel though, like a meerkat or a gopher would, Tex prefers to hollow out a little bed at the base of a cactus or a shrub. Not only does that add another layer of protection to his already impressive shell, but it means that each morning when he wakes up, he's got a tasty treat nearby. Another impressive feature about the Texas tortoise is that they love to dance. Tex is a boy, and if he comes across another tortoise, he's gonna bob his head up and down. He's gonna wait and see what that other tortoise does. If it's another boy, they'll bob his head back and forth, and the two of them may actually get into a dance battle. If it's a female though, she'll probably just ignore him. The reason for that dance battle is that Tex likes his space. He doesn't mind if there are female tortoises passing through, but he wants to keep his space safe from other males, and if that other tortoise bobs his head, lets him know that it's a boy, Tex is going to use something called a guller horn. So on the bottom of his shell, he's got these 2 protrusions that stick out, and he can use that to scoop underneath a rival's shell and flip them onto their back. As you can imagine, a tortoise on his back is not going to be doing much of anything. Those were only a few of the many native Texas animals. How many can you find in your backyard? Join us next week as we bring the zoo to you. Bye.
Hi, I'm Lee Emke, the President and CEO of the Houston Zoo. After more than 2 months of being closed, we are ready and excited to welcome you back to reconnect with the animals you know and love. To ensure the health and safety of you, your family, and our animals, here are a few of the modifications you can expect during your next visit.
The Houston Zoo is now accepting advanced reservations, online only, for all visitors and zoo members at houstonzoo.org. For the health and safety of our guests, staff, and animals, and to ensure adequate social distancing, a limited number of timed tickets will be available each day and only available online at houstonzoo.org. Pick the day and time you'd like to visit, and you will receive an electronic ticket that can be scanned by one of our team members when you arrive. Once inside, guests will follow a modified one-way path through the zoo to see many of their favorite animals in outdoor wildlife habitats, including elephants, rhinos, gorillas, lions, and many more. Guests will not have access to indoor animal exhibits or high-touch areas of the zoo. Some sit-down restaurants are open at limited capacity, and food and beverages are available for purchase at multiple locations. All food and beverage locations are credit card only. All zoo staff are required to wear masks while working, and in accordance with new Harris County orders, all guests 10 years and older are required to wear masks. Hand sanitizer stations are positioned at the entrance and exit and along the path, including restrooms and food locations. Zoo staff will disinfect all high-touch surfaces, including vending machines, tables, chairs, and more. For more detailed information and to reserve your ticket, visit houstonzoo.org.